What's up, Hoosier fans? We made it. We made it, folks. Week
Somehow.
one, game week is here. Kansas State is in last place right now in the college football playoff rankings, and Iowa
I think
State.
Stanford is
Oh,
actually.
sorry. All right. So,
Yeah.
okay, I'll say Iowa State is number one right now as we wrapped up week zero out in Ireland. Yeah, that late game was magical last week in Hawaii. Week one's here. Gigantic slate, Texas, Ohio State. And at 2:30 on Saturday afternoon, Old Dominion rolls into town. And
Yes,
Hoosier
sir.
Nation's gonna be ready to go as IU tries to follow up its special season from 2024, which resulted in a college football playoff berth. Several players named to all Big Ten honors. A couple players taking the NFL draft. What does Signetti have in store for 2025? Matt and I are going to discuss Old Dominion. We're going to talk about the Big Ten slate in week one. We're going to give you our official season long Indiana prediction for this upcoming year. And we'll start talking a little about that preseason poll that was released by Ant Wright yesterday that we were a part of, as well as so much more here on episode 350 of the Hoosier Sound, where we're the official podcast of Indiana HQ. We're recording this edition of the Hoosier Sound on Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. Here with me tonight and today, depending on where you are in the world, is my co host Matt Lukens. I'm Nathan Krishnan. Matt, let's start with this preseason poll. You saw it released yesterday afternoon. Ant went
Yeah.
out and connected with a couple dozen other accounts across the Big Ten. There was one voice at least from each of the participating programs in the league. I have one or two thoughts on it. Let's start with you. When you saw this come out, what caught your attention?
Noah or Aaron Brightman's ranking of IU at 13th. That is what popped out in my mind. That my
Hmm.
eyes almost popped out of my head, actually. He ranked us lower than Edie Muse, who
Hmm.
who literally like his entire shtick is like being very pro Purdue and very anti IU, and even he put us 10th, right? He put Purdue above us. But
Is it Boiler
so
Muse or ED Muse, or did he change his name? Because it's Boiler Muse on the graphic.
it might just be Boimers, both
Yeah,
of them, but both of them use both of them. They're yeah. I honestly believe that they're the same person, even though they're probably not. But they share the same mind, and so with this, I also agree. Aaron Brightman. I've been on Spaces, by the way, with Aaron Brightman. I've talked to him.
Right.
He's a real person with
Yeah.
real opinion in like a normal working brain. I just he said I just looked him up actually before this. He said I appreciate Ant for because Ant put out the predictions, and I think he has Nebraska twice in there when one of them is supposed to be Illinois.
Hmm.
But besides that, he was like, yeah, I think IU just balances out after last year. And I was like, do you realize, Aaron, do you realize that IU has three potential All-Americans on defense and then also returns a significant amount on the offense that was really good last year? Like, and
Yeah.
the same coaching staff for the most part? Like, I I don't
Hey,
know.
you know
Also,
what?
it's not like this year's schedule is that much tougher than last year's, outside of the
Hey,
two big games we play.
there's no Ohio
So
State and there's no Michigan.
exactly. And we play
Yep.
Penn State and Oregon, which are much harder games than last year, but the rest of the schedule is not like impossible. So I I don't see where he's coming from with that. And if I had to make a poll right now, I think I might have debated putting Rutgers last just out of spite.
Ooh.
No, I'm kidding. I will say this.
Ooh.
If IU finishes 13th or lower in the conference in football, I will go to a factory in China and help make Purdue
Oh,
merch.
oh boy. Oh wow. Did
I
you
live
see
here, so it's not like I'm that crazy. I could find where they make it and go and ask to work a shift. I will do that.
they're everywhere. Who's the Ohio State Barstool guy? Yeah,
Ohio State.
yeah. I think he was the one, right, who just released a thing where if Ohio State
Yeah, State loses any of these
loses
games,
any of the game,
he has to
like
do a forfeit. Should I do one for IU?
he went through
I
each week. He went through it. Yeah. Put it together. We don't have to make it on this podcast right now. But
no no
like,
no 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 yeah.
like each week, it was hilarious. He went through and he was like, if Ohio State loses week one, I'm gonna do this. If Ohio State loses week two, I'm gonna do this. And I think it was if Ohio State loses to Michigan, he's gonna walk from Columbus to Ann Arbor or something, which is absolutely hilarious. I'll give you a one or two thoughts on this poll, a little as well as a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. So yeah, Ant went out and aggregated opinions from at least one school from or at least one account from every one of the Big Ten schools, which is good to see. So you definitely get everyone's perspective. Someone mentioned that, hey, every single person had their team ranked a little bit higher than average, which yeah, there you go. That's the bias, and
Yeah.
that tells you like going into the preseason, everyone does believe a little bit more in their team than they probably should, which is why Matt and I had a podcast, our most recent episode about, hey, if this goes wrong for Indiana, what does it look like? Um, I'll give you one or two of my notes from this that didn't get put into the graphic itself. Ohio State, I had number one. I said no reason the champs shouldn't be up here. Um, if they lose to Texas, I'll drop them out. But I don't know if we'll have future rankings. If Ohio State were to lose to Texas, I would have knocked them out. I would have knocked them out of the one spot, assuming Penn State wins. For Indiana, I had them third, and I know everyone's like, yeah, Indiana third. But in a nutshell, going into week one, I said, give me Indiana's head coach, quarterback, and trenches over Oregon and Michigan. And I think those are the two other schools in that conversation right now. I
I
might
agree
look
with
stupid in a week or in a month, but
you.
give me Indiana's head coach, quarterback, and trenches over Oregon's and Michigan's. Um, for Iowa, I had them 10th, which felt weird, but my comment there was four straight seasons with eight or more wins coming into this year. Why is their prop at sportsbooks over 7.5 at plus 120? So the books are saying it's more likely than not that they finish under 7.5 wins, even though they're coming off of four
Yeah.
straight seasons with eight victories or more. Is there does the data show some vulnerability with their defense? Is it maybe Mark Gronowski isn't as intriguing as we originally thought? Again, everyone's hyped up over Iowa passing the ball more allegedly, but like,
Is that a good thing?
is it gonna be good? Right?
Is that a
Like,
necessarily good thing?
is that a good thing? Of course, Iowa State won against
Good
Kansas
thing
State.
necessarily.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Iowa State won against Kansas State over the weekend. Now all of a sudden that game looks a little bit more difficult for Iowa. So I had them 10th. And you know what? Iowa, you beat Iowa State and you probably jump up quite a bit. I said there was a big tier drop off after Minnesota at 11. I think the bottom seven are
Mm,
MSU, Rutgers, UCLA, Maryland, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Purdue.
yep.
I'm looking forward to Tino Sunseri, Hoosier legend, coaching up Nico Iamaleava this upcoming season, as early as week one when
Mm.
UCLA hosts Utah. Should be a fun one. UCLA has a chance to make a serious statement there. Um, and then Wisconsin, Maryland. It's weird to have them 15, 16. There was a Badger account in my Indiana HQ mentions saying, "Hey, we'll meet in November." And I'll extend an olive branch. I'll extend an olive branch. I don't want to alienate my Wisconsin brethren, especially after they beat us 83 to 20 when I was an undergrad. And I said, look, hey, Wisconsin shows up in Tuscaloosa. They don't have to win, just look like half decent. And then, by the way, Wisconsin hosts Maryland Friday night after going to Alabama on a Saturday afternoon. If Wisconsin looks okay
Yeah,
at Alabama and then beats Maryland home Friday night, hey, you know what? You'll definitely move up in the rankings. So, some of my thoughts there. I also noticed that Washington was as high as third in the Washington set of power rankings, all the way down to was it 15th? Yeah,
I would be.
the Penn State, the Purdue folk, the Purdue account, Boiler Muse had them as low as 15th, which so third through
That's
15th. What a fun ride this is going to be. I mean, there's a pretty wide range for all 18 teams, and I think the really fun part of this exercise was like there wasn't groupthink. Like I didn't connect with other any of these other accounts, and I don't think they connected with any of the others either. So I feel like that is part of the problem with the AP top 25. I feel like a lot of the AP voters sort of talk to each other and work with each other. And hey, where do you have this team? Where do you have that team? Oh, do you watch this game? Do you watch that game? We didn't do that. All independent, all objective, doing what we can do. So, bottom line, buckle up. It's gonna be a
I
while.
I think if I had to pick apart yours or I had to pick my
Yeah,
own,
go for it.
I probably would have put Penn State
Sure,
first,
I buy
Ohio
that.
State, Oregon, IU, then Nebraska, Washington, Illinois. That would be my
Yeah,
top six. I think
yeah.
that would be
I
it
I
in
hear you
order.
there. I hear you there. I'm comfortable being more pessimistic than average on Oregon. Um, we had
Yeah,
briefly
we talked
discussed
about
this.
this.
We
Yeah,
had
yeah,
talked
yeah,
about
yeah.
it, and then I like dug in more. You know what this kind of reminds me of a little bit? It's
What?
it's like a weird analogy, but it kind of reminds me of when Steve Peichel went into last year after a series of good seasons at Rutgers, and like he went in with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, this is a good example, actually.
And I'm like,
Yes.
I get it. Like, if I can have Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper on my team, especially both, I'm doing it. 100 out of 100 days, 100 out
Yep.
of 100 times.
Yep. Yep.
But, like, that's not how Rutgers gained their identity and,
Mm.
made the NCAA tournament, which was a huge success for them. And here's Oregon after great seasons with Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel, vet QBs who know where to put the football, who know how to avoid sacks, who know how to move the ball down the field, get explosive plays as needed. You're seeing Bo Nix now, one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, like especially year one, year two quarterbacks. And then it's Dante Moore now. Like, is that, and maybe Dante Moore pays off like at the end of the season, or I haven't checked his eligibility, but from what I recall, he should have like the 26 season eligible.
Right.
Um, like maybe next season. Like you couldn't like I just feel like in another universe, Oregon lands Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
Or Oregon goes out and gets Luke Altmaier from Illinois.
Or they go and get oh my God, what's Washington's QB's name?
This upcoming year
Uh
is Demond Williams. Last year's Will
De
Rogers.
Damon Williams. They go out and get Damon Williams.
Exactly. Like why did they go this route? And I don't know. Like we'll see how it works. No question. Like Mark Gronowski would have made sense at Oregon, right? Old head, vet QB. He's seen some things. I don't know. He went with the younger guy. So again, you also combine that. Of course, Dante Moore could be great, but the rest of the Oregon team may not pick up their slack because I don't know about their wide receivers. I don't know about their tight end. I don't know about their trenches. I do know about their tight end. But I don't know about their wide receivers. I don't know about their trenches. We'll see. Their safeties are great. Their tight end's great, but they got to go to Penn State. and they have a couple other tough games on their schedule, and I'm willing to be a little
Yeah.
bit lower than average on them. But yeah, look, if you want to put Penn State one, I totally get that. It should be a fun ride. Let's stick with Indiana here, Matt. I mean, lots to talk about. Um, Old Dominion's going to come in. We're going to dive into the matchup a little bit later. You know, there's a lot to look into there. But this is a season where, I mean, just as we looked at with the Big Ten Ant Wright preseason poll, I had Indiana as high as third. Aaron Brightman had them as low as 13th. The win total, I believe, is at 8.5. You looked at the schedule. You looked at the matchups. Is a 9-win season in the cards once again? I mean, I think it's time. I think it's time. I think it's time that you made your official win-loss projection for the Indiana Hoosiers this upcoming season. So I'll give you the mic. Take your time. Go through these games. What are your general thoughts about this schedule coming up this year? How the Hoosiers play, and what's going to be their record for 2025?
I always look forward to this. I have only been ever accurate when we do this, by the way.
Yeah,
Actually, true.
correct.
I have a good record of
You
this, but
do.
yeah, go ahead.
2 years ago, you said I think Indiana's gonna be a 3-win football team, and they ended up being a 3-win football team. Maybe
Yep.
was yeah. And then last season you said 8-4, which for a team coming off a 3-win season, that's like a huge leap. And then a couple weeks into the year, we had another podcast after Florida International and Western Illinois, and you were like 11-1. It's on the cards. And I was like 9-3, 10-2, even after a couple weeks. So you started 8-4. I said 6-6. Couple weeks in, you said 11-1. I said 9-3. And then eventually I was like, all right, I see what you're saying. So you have been showing a very strong track record with this particular thing. So please don't say this is a 3-win football team.
Far from it. I I'll go through each one and I'll tell you whether it's a win or loss and why I think it's a win or loss.
Let's go.
So, Old Dominion, W.
Nice.
I I do think that there's a very good chance that it's uncomfortable
Yep.
for like 2 quarters.
Yep.
And then at halftime, we go in, everybody gets some Gatorade and maybe a little bit of a slap or two across the
Mm,
face, and they come
mm.
back out. Well,
Figurative. Yeah.
yeah, a slap of words across
Sure.
the face. We're Indiana
Sure.
fans. We can't be talking about beating
No.
players.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
So
Nope.
they'll probably come out third quarter and then blow them out. They might cover, they might not cover. I don't know. I'm not better, so don't do that. Kennesaw State, they will destroy. I think they're worse than Old Dominion. If I had to put my finger on the pulse. Speaking of worse than Old Dominion, Indiana State
Yep.
also worse. We should destroy them, even though that might be chippy to start. Again, a lot of those guys are going to be coming in
Yep.
having probably wanted to play at IU or a
Yeah.
bigger in-state school and getting that chance. That's going to be a little bit chippier than people might think. First big game of the year, and honestly, the litmus test for the rest of the season, and that is Illinois at home. I don't think Illinois is that good. I think they're completely overrated. They beat a terrible Alabama team last year that
South Carolina
if
stuff.
they didn't have,
South
sorry,
Carolina.
South Carolina team that who surged late in that season, but still just so weird to me. I don't like them at all. So I think Illinois is extremely overrated, and I think they'll probably lose to IU, and so I think IU probably wins that
4-0.
game.
Let's go.
Now, if IU wins that game, I'll jump forward my prediction so I don't go through every single game.
Ooh.
I think they'll end up 4-2
Okay.
going into MSU.
Okay.
I think they lose at Iowa. They lose back-to-back games. They lose
Sure.
at Iowa and they lose at Oregon. Then they'll win 3 games in a row against Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland.
Seven and
Lose to
two.
Penn
Seven and
State.
two. I like it.
Seven
Seven
and
and two.
7-2 going into Penn State, lose to Penn State, end the season 9-3. Um, with three losses in conference. Uh, I think if they beat Illinois comfortably, I'm changing my prediction
Mm.
to 11-1. But I think it's 9-3 probably. I again at it's the away games this year that really suck.
Yep.
Uh Kinnick is always impossible, even though that is a 12 to 4 o'clock slot.
Right.
So you're not
It's a
getting a
day
night
game.
game for that, which is
Yep.
nice. It's a day game, which is dope. Penn State is going to be damn near impossible to win. Especially since they'll be rolling at that time, I think. And then Oregon, I mean, it's always hard to go to Eugene. I
Right.
mean, I give the Hoosiers a fighting chance. And we've seen an IU team beat an
Yes.
Oregon team in
Yes.
Eugene before.
Yes. It has
That is
happened.
history and has happened in not very, ancient memory.
Yeah.
Um, so I give them a fighting chance. I actually give them a better chance of beating Oregon than I think they've at beating Iowa.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So it seems like the Penn State road game is the toughest, and then you're saying it sort of goes at Iowa and then at Oregon,
Oh
in
yeah,
terms of degree
yeah,
of difficulty. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing close losses in those road games. One of the things you and
yeah.
I have talked about in the past is like it's embarrassing for me as a fan that not only did the 2021 Indiana team start off by losing at Kinnick, but they lost by a lot. Which, like, even when teams lose to Iowa in recent times, they don't lose by a lot. Even great teams or bad teams, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like FCS teams play Iowa and they don't lose by much. Indiana
No,
did. So I want to see Indiana go into Kinnick and play with some discipline, play with some, toughness, play with some resistance. And then same deal at Oregon, same deal at Penn State. I want to see a good game at halftime. I want to see a good game into the third and fourth quarter. Um, for me, I agree with the 4-0 start. I don't think there's any dispute there, debate there. I really don't see us losing to Illinois at home. I
I
like I
don't see it either. I don't believe in this Illinois team at all.
And
Like at all.
one of the things I do like is that Indiana will get some good film out of the Illinois Week 2 game at Duke. So
Yeah.
the Hoosiers, who have zero tough Power 4 games, in case you hadn't heard, before
Really,
conference
I had
play.
no idea.
Um, it's the it's the SEC scheduling philosophy. Which by the way, Indiana is in strong union with Penn State on that one. So
Mm.
had that same energy for James Franklin. But guess what? You won't because it's a normal scheduling strategy. So, Illinois will have a lot of film for Indiana to dissect after their week 2 game at Duke. It's a home game for the Hoosiers. You can't let it's got to be 4-0.
Yeah.
Um, am I being too like
Are you being too
can
much of a
Indiana
homer?
can Indiana get one of these? Can Indiana get one of
Between
these road
Iowa
games?
and Iowa and Oregon
Yeah.
and Penn State? Yeah, I think so.
Well, really one of the
I
two.
think
I'll write off Penn State, but like one of the
I,
two.
I think 10-2 is very achievable. I just I don't see IU being able to it's the times the matchups, right? You play Illinois at home in a super important game. Like
Right.
let's say Illinois is undefeated going into it. Let's say IU is undefeated. That matchup potentially
Hype. Super hype.
no, it's potentially a top 10 matchup
Yeah, it
at that
is.
point in time. Because you got three top 10 matchups this week. This week. And then there's obviously so like the next 2 weeks, there's a bunch of other ranked unranked matchups. And
Yep.
it's college football, people lose. Like there's a decent chance that Illinois is solidly in the top 10 and
Yeah.
then Indiana's sniffing it. Right.
Yep.
So like that's gonna be a legit game. Then to go at Kinnick the next week,
Sure.
that's tough.
Yeah, you know
Then you
what
get a,
though?
a
I
bye
will
week.
let's start with Kinnick. So the thing
Yeah.
is Iowa does go to Iowa State week 2. That is a true road game.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
Iowa does go to Rutgers in week 4. So Iowa plays Indiana
I, I
with
don't care about Rutgers. I don't I that Rutgers game. Rutgers is in I think Rutgers
I mean
legit is like bottom four.
for sure, but looking ahead, like that's a primetime road game at Rutgers. And I just wonder if like I just wonder if Iowa will be a much different team after 4 games than they are right now. It's not even an Indiana thing, but like, what if Iowa goes to Iowa State and loses 35 to 31?
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
that's a lot of points for Iowa,
but
but yeah.
right? And then what if they go to what if they go to and again, I don't know if there's a situation here where Iowa is more than a touchdown favorite at Rutgers. I think Iowa will be favored, but I don't think it'll be more than 7. And I'm just looking at this going like, what if, I don't know, Rutgers kind of kicks their teeth in and Iowa kicks Rutgers' teeth in. It's an ugly rock fight and Indiana should be like, I don't know. I don't look at Illinois, Indiana as a really like physically demanding game. I think there'll be a lot of skill on the field. I think there'll be guys flying around. I think there'll be fun. I think both teams will find stuff through the air. I'm gonna give Indiana the game at Iowa.
That's fine.
I'm gonna give Indiana
I
the game at
I
Iowa.
so you're going 10-2 then, is what you're saying to me.
Because I'm not giving Indiana the game at Oregon, even though I have Indiana above Oregon in my preseason poll. By the way, that could be another top 10 matchup, the Indiana Oregon
Yeah,
one, if
if
Indiana does
I
start.
I think it certainly will be if IU is undefeated at that point, yes.
I have to give IU the home games against Michigan State and UCLA.
Yeah.
I
And
have to give
Maryland.
the road game at Maryland. I'm just trying to
Hmm.
see is there an outcome where any of those 3 teams is really splashing and is in the CFP conversation. I don't see it with
Which three teams?
Michigan State.
No,
I
MSU,
don't
UCLA,
see
or
it.
Maryland? No.
Yeah. Could you see like if UCLA beats Utah, but Indiana
They're
gets them at
they're
home?
getting destroyed by Utah. U UCLA is not they're not good. Their defense is a little bit feisty, and Emilio
You
is
know
not
what? You know
bad.
what? You know what? You know what? I'm gonna say UCLA is in the CFP conversation when they come to Indiana on October 25th.
I
Because
look at their schedule right now, but I
this might
highly doubt
be my
that.
hottest Big Ten take. I'm not saying UCLA is in like the top 10. I think we look at UCLA as maybe as a 6-1 team. Whether maybe they beat Utah in Westwood, maybe they beat Penn State in Westwood. These other games, I'm not really like nervous. That UNLV game looks easier now than it did a week ago.
True.
I'm a Sinceri guy. I think Sinceri knows what he's doing as a coach as well. I like Nico. I think Nico hasn't really told his side of the story from Tennessee. But with that said,
Oh
Indiana's not
my.
going there. UCLA is coming to Bloomington. So even if UCLA is top 25 at that point, I think Indiana does get the win. So I'm sitting here with Indiana through 8 games at
Sorry.
7-1.
Uh,
7-1 with the
I,
road loss to Oregon.
I'm looking at UCLA's schedule, and there's a murder's row. It starts with IU because IU, Nebraska, Ohio State, Washington, USC
So
to finish the season.
I think that's the thing. I think UCLA
Oh,
is in the conversation when they come to
oh,
Bloomington, and then
no,
Indiana sort of straightens things out a little bit.
no, no,
Um,
no, no, no. No, there. I think UCLA at best is 4-3 going into the IU
okay,
game.
all right, we'll
I
see.
think at best.
Hey, I'll.
I think they'll be like 2-5 if I had to take a guess.
And so yeah, I have Indiana at 5-1, 6, 7, 8-1 going into Penn State, and that's not happening. I get, but this is where I'm like, hey, I hope it's close. I hope it's interesting. I hope it's competitive. Um,
I mean, look, it's James Franklin. That game, there's a talent mismatch, but there's also a coaching mismatch, I think, especially in-game coaching.
and then the other thing I will
Sig
mention,
wins that by a lot.
is that Penn State is coming off of at Iowa, bye week at Ohio State before they play Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah.
And remember, Penn
But
State also gets the September whiteout home game against Oregon too. But especially in those weeks building up to the Indiana game at Iowa, bye week at Ohio State before hosting the Hoosiers, like could like if Penn State has three losses going into that game, right? And if they do what we think Indiana's potentially going to do, which is hey, they lose to Oregon, they lose at Iowa, and they lose to another great team, which is at Ohio State. Man, the the narrative around Penn State's going to be real weird.
well,
Um,
all I'll
wow.
say is this about that Penn State game. I already said a couple of things, but to finish off my statement on it, we've seen a worse IU team take a Penn State team
Yeah,
very recently, within the
yeah,
last 2 seasons,
yeah,
take a Penn State team down to the wire,
yeah.
like down to the last 2 minutes of that game. Um,
So weird.
Also, like you said, it's as long as it's not a night game.
Not a night
The
game. Don't get your, don't get your skis blown off. Don't get crushed. Keep things interesting. Keep things close. Keep
No,
hanging
I
in
think that
there.
game will be close. That game is gonna.
I was
I don't
at
think Penn
that was
State's gonna win all of their games this year. They're gonna win a ton of games by
close.
7 to 10 points.
That's the thing. And
Yeah,
hey, I was
no,
in Happy Valley back in 2019 for the Peyton Ramsey season. And
yeah.
Indiana was hanging in there. They did the
Uh,
exact same thing in Happy Valley,
we
hung
do
in
play
there.
Penn State consistently well.
There's a chance here Indiana like just competes, just competes, like hang in there, fight, do your thing, see what happens. And
I, I,
I
I, I to interrupt what you're
yeah,
saying. I think there's not a 0% chance this team goes undefeated with the schedule.
you know
There's a
what?
non-0% chance. In fact, I would say that if the team wins Illinois, Iowa, Oregon,
Okay.
and they are, what is that, 6-0, I
Uh-huh.
think the chances are higher they go undefeated than it is that they don't.
You can get that at plus 2,500 on DraftKings right now.
I
If you're
I
interested,
I I put $5 on
put
it
some lunch money
because
on it and
yeah,
see what happens.
I
Um,
there's a non-zero chance they can go undefeated. I think there's a higher chance they go undefeated than they win less
like,
than six
I mean,
games.
to that point, like Indiana could possibly be favored at Iowa.
I think they certainly will if they beat Illinois.
Like, and if Iowa drops that Iowa State game, or if Iowa drops that Rutgers game, there's a path.
There's a path. It's a small path, but there's a
Yeah.
path.
So Indiana won't lose to Wisconsin at home. And I don't say that like with unbridled confidence. Um, but Indiana will beat Wisconsin at home.
Yeah,
There's no way Wisconsin's
assuredly.
good enough to come to Bloomington and get the win. You could get some weird weather. It's the final home game of the season. I do think
But
bad weather in that game helps Wisconsin's case a little bit more.
no, they're trying to throw the Wisconsin's trying to spread the ball out. IU relies way more on the run than Wisconsin does now.
I don't want the variability of bad weather. Just give me clean, let Indiana, in
Fair.
conditions
Yeah.
similar to when Brendan Sorsby lit up the Badgers a couple years ago. Give me that type of weather. Sorsby and McCulley, two Hoosier legends, unstoppable against the Badgers that afternoon.
Yeah.
Um, Primetime road game at Purdue to finish the season.
That's gonna surely be on Peacock, right? Like there's no way
It's
Purdue.
real NBC. In addition to Peacock, they did announce that
Yeah.
earlier. So road primetime game NBC. I mean,
Oh my God, Purdue's schedule is so rough. Oh my God.
it was bad last year too. I'm not sure what happened
They
there.
play USC, Notre Dame, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, Indiana.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
Also,
Okay, I understand the
low
schedule.
key,
No, I
they could
understand
lose to
the
Ball State. Like low key, they could lose to Ball State.
Southern Illinois has also been a solid like FCS program
Yeah.
in recent years.
Yes.
But I don't I don't understand how you get such awful Big Ten schedules back to back years. I understand the Notre Dame thing.
Yeah, it's
Like, fine.
unlucky.
Yeah, bad
Yeah.
luck. It should reverse at some point here. But yeah, I guess I'm at 10-2.
Michigan State's playing Boston College this year. I'm just going through all of these schedules and just taking a look at them
There are
because
some
like
fun
some of
ones.
them are super easy.
There are some
I looked at
fun
Ohio State's schedule this year is a cakewalk. I like people aren't talking about it, but the Ohio State schedule outside of the Penn State game is
well, Texas, but yeah.
okay. They do open up with that. They played two big games, right? They played two big games this year. Seriously big games.
Hmm.
And if you want to add Illinois in there, I guess that's okay. But I don't think Michigan's as good as their ranking is. I don't think Illinois is good as their ranking is. Like, so you're looking at like Ohio State's schedule being Texas and Penn State, and then 10 very winnable games.
Is 10-2 crazy for this
For
Indiana
Ohio
team?
State
For
or for
Indiana,
IU?
for
For
IU.
for IU, no, I think 10-2 is I think 10-2 or 9-3 are the reasonable takes. But if I had to be honest. Like Sig in 1 year has showed us he doesn't lose to teams that are worse than IU, but he also hasn't shown us the ability to beat teams that are better than IU. So that's why I'm sitting here going like Illinois and Iowa, those two games, depending on how both of those start, are super scary to me.
Yeah.
Oregon and Penn State also at a significant talent disadvantage. And if Sig can show up and beat Illinois, who again I still think is worse than IU, but you
I
can show
think
up
so.
and Illinois is ranked, and you get that kind of, you get that monkey off your back.
Right.
Now I'm thinking, all right, things are possible. Then you go to Iowa, to a place where the Hoosiers just don't win ever. And you beat that team, especially if they beat Iowa State earlier, they'll be ranked. So you go on the road and beat Iowa. Now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we're going back to the playoff.
Some things are, and two loss Indiana has to get in, has to get into the
Two
CFP.
two loss Indiana. If the two losses are to at Oregon, at Penn State,
Right.
with wins against Illinois and Iowa, even though people are going to immediately discredit that, I do think makes it in
You know,
at like the 11th spot.
I understand they're the three tough games, but actually before we just did this, I was pretty ready to give Indiana a loss in one of the other nine, if that makes sense. We know about the three
To
tough
who?
ones.
To who would you give
Coming
that loss to,
into
though?
us talking about this, I was like, I think there's enough. variance on this team coming up where like if they don't show up to a game, like somebody's gonna pick off Indiana. And I was like, I don't think it's UCLA. I don't think it's Michigan State. Could it be Maryland down the road? I don't see that
But
happening.
Maryland is, I've said
And
this for a couple
I was
teams, but I'm
ready to
serious.
give
Maryland is
Indiana,
abysmal.
yeah, I was ready to give Indiana a road win against one of the beasts.
Horrendous.
I was willing to give Indiana a road win against one of the beasts and then a loss to someone else.
No, that's just crazy talk.
But
That's just crazy talk.
I don't see. I guess Maryland comes off a bye before they face us. I don't know. I don't see it in one of the other nine. And I guess I'm including the home game against Illinois in the nine, but like,
I think IU goes 9-3. I put that prediction out there.
yeah.
Um, it doesn't make me happy to say this. I would love to be wrong.
It's just, and
Genuinely, it'd be great.
Michigan State comes to Indiana between home games against UCLA and Michigan. Like, I was willing to sit here and be like Indiana gets picked off by Michigan State or by Maryland or by Wisconsin, and I don't Old Dominion. I don't see any of these. I really don't see any of these resulting in a loss for IU, at least as of August 27th. So
I mean,
yeah,
IU gets the two worst teams, I think, in the league. Like they get Purdue and Maryland both on the road, which is wonderful, right? They're both terrible.
that's what I'm
Like
thinking
those games are not
too.
gonna be
Like
close.
yeah, man. By the way, Ant went ahead and aggregated the preseason poll, and Indiana comes in sixth. Um, so
That's just
take that
okay.
for
Who's
what it
above
is. It
IU
goes Penn
then?
State, Ohio State, Oregon, Teardrop, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, USC, Nebraska, Washington, Iowa, and then there's a teardrop. So
I do not understand the Michigan hype. I don't get it. Their best wide receiver was our fourth best wide receiver last year.
and I'm a Donovan McCulley guy. I like him. I think he deserves a chance to like step up as a starter somewhere.
Hmm.
And I'm rooting for Michigan week 2. I want Michigan to beat Oklahoma. I really do. But I said it on this podcast before. Like the drop off from Harbaugh to Sharon is gigantic. Is humongous. And I don't care that they beat Ohio State and Alabama at the end of last year. Good job. Congrats. But you know what? The drop off from Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant and those guys,
Yes,
like,
that's what I'm
that's
saying.
huge too. And then, you also had Josiah Stewart, who's like a vet pass rusher out there. Like, I know Will Johnson and Colston Loveland didn't play much at the end of last year, but all of this is drop off. And I think 2026, sure, we have a true freshman quarterback. I put in my notes 9-3 would be an enormous success for Michigan this year.
Yeah. Sometimes I see people putting him as high as three.
Like
Well,
you
of course,
should be
that's a Michigan
happy. You
account.
should throw a
But
parade if you're Michigan, and not a parade. You should throw a party if you're a Michigan fan and they finish 9-3
mm,
this year.
Yep, I agree. I think anything above, honestly, no, for that Michigan team, I think anything above 8 wins is a party. I think they're going to be hovering more towards 7-5. Not necessarily a bad thing because you're moving on, building
Exactly.
a program. But for the love of God, like they have a pretty tough schedule. Let me look at their schedule real fast for 1 second
It's
just to double
brutal. We'll
check.
dive into Michigan's schedule coming out of Who Won the Week this past
Got it.
week in IU Sports when Matt and I like to dive into some Hoosier names and faces that have done great things, whether it's a current student athlete, whether it's someone who's in the pros right now, and there are a lot of options to pick from. We are going to tip our cap to Jacopo Fedrizzi, who is the reigning Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week for Indiana men's soccer after an
Ah,
entertaining first week to start the season against Clemson and San Francisco, where IU came back to get a share of the points against Clemson in Bloomington before a comeback win against San Francisco to follow that one up. Uh, the Hoosiers across the different polls are in the top 10 across college soccer after the draw with Clemson, the win over San Francisco. Uh, Also a shout out to Munster High School legend Nolan Kinsella, who is on the Indiana men's soccer team. Couple of assists for a youngster that went to my alma mater. So shout out to Nolan as Indiana now
Mm.
gears up for another fun set of non-conference games beginning with Green Bay on Thursday night. That should be a fun one. Lots to look forward to with this men's soccer team. Off to a good start. Last year the start was a little bit hairy, no question about it. But they're rocking and rolling to get this season underway. Quick reminder, folks, if you enjoy our show, leave us a review, tell a friend, share our links. Your support really helps us grow this podcast and reach more passionate IU fans such as yourself. That word of mouth really makes a difference. Spread the word. That's exactly how we grow here as a site, as a podcast, to reach others across the internet. So, spread the word. Tell a friend, share our links, that sort of stuff definitely does matter. We're going to dive into this Old Dominion matchup in just a sec, but Matt, you were talking about Michigan's schedule, which was, yeah, it is tough. And again, as I said, 9-3, throw a party. What did you see when you looked at Michigan's schedule?
8-4. 8-4, and they should be happy. And they play Oklahoma,
It's a
USC,
good season. Like 8-4 is a
Washington,
good
Ohio State.
season.
Yeah, but for their standards, it's and they play at Michigan State. Like for their standards, that's low.
Yeah, but that's like coming off of peak Harbaugh.
No, yeah, I
You
agree.
know what I'm saying? Like the
And
standard,
they're building here. They don't have good wide receivers. They lost both their starting running backs. They're starting a freshman QB. They lost the two best players on their team last year that played the same damn position, D tackle. Like you lose so much off of last year's team, and last year's team wasn't even that great.
like,
They had a good ending, but they just didn't have a good season at all.
I don't know, like outside of peak Harbaugh, okay? Which I'm starting saying was 2021 to 23. Like these are Michigan's win totals starting with 2007. 9 3 5 7 11 8 7 5 10 10 8 10 9 COVID season. So like 8 is a good season,
It's a decent, yeah, it's a good season. It's an average season for them. That more like it, which I think it's
especially if
going
you
to be an
get a
average season for them.
especially if you get like a freshman of the year type of season out of Bryce Underwood, that's 50 to 60% as exciting as Jeremiah Smith's was last year. Like if Bryce Underwood shows that he can like hang in there, like especially at that week 2 road game against Oklahoma, week 4 road game against Nebraska, like I would throw a party. Like I really would. Old Dominion
Are
comes to town.
speaking?
Yeah, sorry.
Wait, one last thing. Speaking of teams that have an easy road,
Ooh, okay.
uh, you ready for Nebraska to be going to the college football playoff?
I am. I am. I think Nebraska is very. I am a Matt Rule guy. Like, I think Matt Rule is a better college football coach than Sharon Moore. Like, I don't know if that offends people, but like college football, that's my take. And like Dylan Raiola is a better college football quarterback in 2025 than Bryce Underwood. And
Fair.
I'm looking forward to that week 4 game in Lincoln. Um, I have questions about Raiola. I do, but hey, you know what? They'll get a road game against Cincinnati to kick things off on Thursday night. That's the one I think I'm most interested in on Thursday night. Um, we'll see how they look. Nebraska is, hey, look, you win at Cincinnati with margin. You beat Michigan, that could be a bit of like a very early sort of CFP play-in type of thing. Hey, you know what? Michigan and Nebraska are close in the conversation. Well, guess what? Nebraska won that game. So they get a leg up on Michigan in the conversations. Yeah, it's in play. I can definitely see it in play. And then by the way, if they're hot and feeling themselves, they get a November 22nd road game against Penn State, which should be fun. If both teams are,
Hmm.
playing well. So looking forward to that. Yeah, Old Dominion comes to town, Matt. Saturday afternoon, 2:30 FS1. Indiana is a 24-point favorite, 23 and a half, 24 and a half. Shop around, find the best number. Um,
Hmm.
looks like 23 and a half. It's the number out there right now with an over under of 54 and a half. If you do the math, that gets us to something like a 39-16 final in
Hmm.
Bloomington on Saturday, according to the sports books. Old Dominion comes in sort of middle of the pack in the preseason Sun Belt poll. They do have several guys that did get first team, second team recognition. Offensive tackle Zach Barlev, first team preseason All Sun Belt, as was Jason Henderson, a very productive linebacker who had a banged up 2024, but in 22 and 23, he was very good in the linebacker position, accumulating a ton of tackles. Chris Trinidad, an edge defense, really an outside defensive end in Old Dominion's 3-3-5 alignment. Keep an eye out for him, as well as Koa, not Otala, who is a linebacker on the Monarchs. Solid offense, decent decent run defense, questionable coverage, questionable passing game. What are the couple things you're looking forward to seeing between Old Dominion and Indiana on Saturday, Matt?
Well, I want to see Indiana show the differences in the boys in the trenches. Like I want to see the offensive line protect Mendoza and impose their will on a inferior Old Dominion defensive line. And then I want to see inversely our defensive line absolutely wreak havoc on their quarterback and anything they want to do. Like I don't even want our secondary to be tested all that much this game. Like I don't want those guys to have to work basically at all. Like we should be hearing their number at all unless it's like getting past deflections, right? Like our front seven should be absolutely destroying Old Dominion. And like to the point that they can't score. Like that's what I want to see. And look, the Sun Belt produces great teams. Nathan and I talked about it before we got on the show.
Big time.
But Old Dominion is not some sort of pushover. Like they're going to be half decent. They've had decent seasons as of recent in the Sun Belt. We talked about how their coach is not that bad,
No,
right?
Penn
Like
State
he probably should.
history.
Penn State history should be looking for probably a better job at some point. He can maybe turn things around. And Sun Belt's a great league. You got,
Yep,
James Madison, you got Liberty in there, you got App
yep.
State in there. Like, there's a good University of Louisiana Monroe. Um, like it's a good league. Um, I think IU has obviously the superior talent, but I want them to come out week one with everybody questioning them all off season after the most recent performance at Notre Dame, and I want to see them kick Old Dominion's teeth in.
Yeah. I don't know if you mentioned JMU, but yeah, JMU at the top of the
Yeah,
league
yeah, James
as
Madison.
well.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
The two divisional champs projected in the preseason are Louisiana, formerly Lafayette, at the top of their division in the West, and then JMU to win the
Yeah.
Sun Belt East.
I meant Lafayette, not Louisiana Monroe. My bad. My bad.
Oh yeah,
Just two
ULM
different
is
teams.
projected to finish last this upcoming
Yeah,
season.
they're awful, but I meant Lafayette, and
Yeah,
that's what I
but
really meant to
yeah,
say.
and by the way, Southern Miss plays Mississippi State in week one, so we'll see a little
They
bit
could
of
win
a
that game.
We'll see another Sun Belt Power Four matchup there. Of course, App State, Coastal Carolina, other great teams, Georgia Southern. Um, I don't know if I got this right, but I said I just want to be clear. I like Old Dominion's run game in general. Their pass game, I think, is a little bit questionable. Dual threat quarterback Colton Joseph took over midseason last season from Grant Wilson, who is now an Indiana Hoosier. Signetti pointed out very clearly, it's amazing. Like nothing gets past Signetti and the staff. Absolutely nothing. So Signetti is just talking about Old Dominion as an opponent, and Jason Henderson is this great linebacker who did
Mhm.
something close to leading the country in tackles in 2023, if not actually doing that. And then he goes into how the Sun Belt's great and Old Dominion's competitive. And then he talked about how week one last year they went into Columbia, South Carolina, which is a great college football environment. And they not only like kept it close, but they like deservedly had a chance of winning that game. They were right there doing everything that they had to do to come out with the win. But a couple of turnovers uh really deep into South Carolina territory ruined Old Dominion's chances of winning that game. And
Hmm.
Signetti didn't just say like, "Oh, they kept it close." Signetti pointed out on Monday afternoon, two touchdown drives for South Carolina all game. They were lengths of 2 yards and 6 yards.
Yeah,
I
they should
mean,
have won that game.
fortunate,
Yeah.
fortunate to say the
Yeah.
least for the Gamecocks, who, as you pointed out, late bloomers as the year went on last year. They
Yeah.
figured it out, but like Old Dominion outgained South Carolina in that game. Old Dominion, same number of penalties. Old Dominion went out and had several explosive plays.
They lost that game. They did not. South Carolina did not win that game. That's the conclusion from that.
They were able to get penetration in the backfield, 4 sacks for
Yeah.
that Old Dominion defense. I mean,
Yeah.
they
This
were
game could be
right in it.
uncomfortable, folks. This game could
They
be
were,
very uncomfortable.
and the funny thing is, Old Dominion has had wins in the past against teams like Virginia Tech,
Heck, yeah.
hanging right in there against Virginia, hanging right in there against Wake Forest. And these are seasons where Old Dominion doesn't turn out great win-loss records when it's all said and done. Last year they go 5-7, but guess what? They could have easily, I mean, they deserved, frankly. Maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but they outgained South Carolina. South Carolina fortunate, a couple of takeaways deep into Old Dominion, deep into yeah, Old Dominion territory. So, man, um, solid run game, dual threat QB. I liked your comment about the secondary though. Like it should be lockdown stuff for the most part. Hey, you know what? Is it are you ever gonna completely eliminate a team's passing attack? I remember Tom Allen's defenses occasionally would do that to teams like Rutgers and UConn
Oof.
across 2019 and 20. I think Johnny Langan was the quarterback at Rutgers when he had one passing yard over the course of a game in
That
Bloomington.
was a wet dream of a game. That was the
Yeah,
most fun.
I don't think we're gonna get that. Colton Joseph's all right, but he does bring that dual threat capacity to the quarterback position. So Indiana's gonna have to watch out for that. Again, the good offensive tackle in Zach Barlev. However, the rest of the line up front for Old Dominion a little bit questionable. A few things I'm gonna be looking out for as I think of the Indiana perspective here. First of all, Fernando Mendoza. Let's go, baby. I mean, here we go. Like this, this is showtime. You cannot take week one lightly. Lenore Sellers last year had a very difficult time moving the ball through the air against the Old Dominion defense, Old Dominion pass defense. I don't foresee things going that way week one. I think Fernando Mendoza should have a fairly easy time throwing the football against these guys. The run game, we'll
Yeah.
see. The pass game, especially if you incorporate the running backs, you take those deep shots to Cooper and to Surratt, to the new faces as well, Jonathan Brady, Mekhi Jackson. I'm really looking forward to seeing Mendoza air it out. And then, of course, ideally, he racks up, 250, three touchdowns, and gets pulled. And then, hey, who comes in next? It's going to be Grant Wilson. Is it going to be Alberto Mendoza? Looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Who are the starting five up front? I have a general idea of who that should be, but, let's see it set in stone. That'll probably come through in pregame warmups when we see the first team working together there. How does that look? Is there cohesiveness? Um, who is the odd man out as the sort of the swing tackle, the swing lineman? Looking forward to seeing that. What's the D line rotation look like? Is it a set of five guys? Is it six? Is it seven? Is it eight? Who really steps up? We know Mikael Kamara is a legend, but other than
Mm.
that, hey, you know what? Hey, are we going to get interior pressure? Is it going to be pressure from the edge? I don't expect many blitzes. So how is the defensive line going to work out there? And then as Matt and I talked about that other linebacker spot, if it's Elijah Hardy that gets first crack, I want to see how he looks. Um, Aiden Fisher's awesome, but Matt and I talked about how if things go sideways for this Indiana team, it's because, one or two of these positional battles really don't go Indiana's way. And if
Yep.
Indiana does not get anyone to step up in the other linebacker spot outside of Aiden Fisher, that's going to be a humongous drop off from what Jalen Walker provided the Hoosiers last year. So, really looking forward to seeing that other matchup there. Matt and I, we will predict the outcome, the final score of this game in just a sec, as well as give you our Big Ten picks of the week. But first, a quick social media shout out. Friends, a reminder if you enjoy our show, leave us a review. Tell a neighbor, tell a stranger, share our links. Your support really helps us grow this podcast, reach more passionate IU fans such as yourself. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube at Indiana HQ at the Hoosier Sound. Then on Instagram, we're not Indiana HQ, but what are we?
Indiana.HQ.
Correct. That's right. You can find us there. Again, retweet, like our stuff, comment, share. We try to get back to as many as we can, and we'll ramp that up here as the season gets going. So, hey, leave us a message, leave us a comment, leave us some feedback. We are all ears. All right, Matt. As we said, Indiana's a 23.5 point favorite, over under about 54, 54 and a half. 39-16 is a sportsbook projection. Who do you have winning this game, and by how much?
Well, I already spoiled it earlier.
Yeah,
I have IU winning
that's
the
true.
game.
That's true. That's
Uh,
true. Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
but
how much?
the, for those that would like a comfy game, I'm here to tell you that I think IU comes out and makes it a comfy game. I think this
Oh,
is a 49-7 victory from the Hoosiers. In
oh
fact, I
man.
was leaning towards 56-7, but
Ooh,
I think they'll probably be resting the starters by the time they're up
right.
40. So, yeah. But would it surprise me if this is a 35-21 final? No, with IU pulling away late in like the third. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised. Or like 35-17, but it's really was like 14-14 and a half. Like that wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah,
But I don't see this Old Dominion team having the talent on offense to compete with our defense, which I am much more sure in than I am of our offense, given the fact that we're replacing a QB and there's a bunch of other moving pieces. So, yeah, I think the defense is gonna show up and show out. So
I like it. I like it.
56-7. Oh, sorry,
For
49-7. Okay, my bad.
I actually am, yeah, I'm more along the lines of that other comment you made where it's a little bit uncomfortable, where it's a little bit competitive, it's difficult. Indiana's gonna have to find some things a little bit. I have this 27-13 Indiana. So I do have Indiana winning. I think it's a little bit low scoring. I think Old Dominion's
Would
gonna
that be
run
the
the ball.
second lowest score IU scored under Signetti?
I think something like that, second or third.
Second or third? Yeah,
Because Ohio State, Notre Dame. And then yeah, I gotta look at the numbers there,
that's it.
but
That's it.
um, this is more a tip of the cap to Old Dominion. Once again, let me just put it this way: I think Old Dominion is by far the toughest of the six non-conference opponents across the 24 and 25 Signetti schedules. I don't think FIU's as tough as them. I don't think, anyone else close is close. Charlotte, nothing. So that's how I see it. Again, Indiana will win. Um, but I think, looking ahead, I don't expect Indiana to really show much as well. I think it'll be
Mm.
kind of a vanilla call on both sides of the ball. Get guys in, get guys out, healthy, ready to roll for week 2, week 3, week 4. I think that's the main point here. As we wrap up week 1. So Matt and I, as usual, what we like to do is we like to look around the Big Ten footprint. In addition to Indiana's game against Old Dominion or whoever they face, and like to give you one or two Big Ten picks of the week. There are a lot of games on the slate. I think it's a full 18.
Mm.
Zero conference
Yep.
matchups, zero buys, a lot of point spreads out there, a lot of over-unders out there. Will there be a potential upset? Matt, I'll throw it over to you. Looking at the point spreads this week, looking at the over-unders, what are one or two picks that you like? And then are there any upsets that have your attention?
Yep. I like Utah to cover
Ooh, okay.
against UCLA. And then for my upset pick, I have Ball State beating Purdue.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right.
I also like you tell yours first, then I'll add an extra cover. But
Someone's gonna get upset.
I just hope
Uh,
it's not us, dude. That's what I pray for. I hope we don't have just do this whole podcast gassing up IU for us to go
well,
lose to Old Dominion.
yeah, I mean, obviously, we will be we will be in shambles if that happens. I'm just gonna take Ohio State to cover the one against Texas. Um, it's a weird, like, there's a weird vibe around Ohio State, and I don't quite get it. I feel like
Well, I understand it completely.
I think for this Ohio State team, like I think Julian Sayin can take a step up on what Will Howard gave Ohio State last year. I think, and by
But
the
he
way,
also could take a step back.
I don't really see that happening. Like with Ryan Day calling the shots and with Jeremiah Smith out there, Carnell Tate still in the offense, um, solid offensive line. Like Kyle McCord and Will Howard were not great for Ohio State the last 2 years. And I think Julian
No.
Sand can take a step up on that. I don't see the likelihood that big, that large of a likelihood that he hurts Ohio State uh more. He negatively affects Ohio State more than Will Howard and Kyle McCord did. But I guess we'll see when the ball's rolled out there.
I
Um,
I I don't agree with you there, but I think Will Howard was very important for Ohio State.
okay. I'm also gonna take Tulane to cover the 6 against Northwestern.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, true road game for the Wildcats. Um,
That's
Tulane,
tough.
Tulane will be ready to roll there. It's a
That's
great
tough.
college football program. Like New Orleans is a good football city. Um,
Mm.
Tulane will be ready to rock for that one. All right, give yours, and then I'll give my upset. You said you had another cover up your sleeve.
I do have another cover up my sleeve. I like Maryland to lose to Florida Atlantic.
Whoa, whoa.
I think the bottom of the Big Ten is atrocious. I think Purdue and Maryland are the bottom two.
Wow.
They're
All right.
horrendous.
Okay. 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 All right. Former FAU quarterback Cam Fancher is now going to start at UCF. I saw that come through
Yeah,
ahead of Taven Jackson. Um,
poor Taven.
Man. All right, all right, all right. I'm not super confident on this one, but you know,
Hey, let me hit it. Hit me with it. I want to hear it.
Ohio over Rutgers
Are you doing
Thursday
that
night.
because Aaron Brightman did his thing and wait, that's Thursday night,
Thursday night early, like 6 p.m. Eastern.
6 p.m. That means if I wake up Friday morning at 6 a.m., I could watch that game.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Hey, you know what? If
Ugh.
I were you, do like a 8 a.m., because that'll be like third quarter. And
Yeah.
if it's good,
Yeah.
tune in. And then
Yep.
that'll lead you
Tune in.
right into
Yeah.
Nebraska, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Minnesota. Um, for that Big Ten Thursday night slate, in addition to the other action across
Sweet.
the FBS. Yeah, Ohio State Rutgers. I'm sorry, Ohio Rutgers. Sure. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm convincing myself in real time. Um, by the way, I also like Coastal Carolina to win at Virginia. Straight up. More Sun Belt love. Not a Big Ten game. Just a bonus upset in there for the people.
Bonus upset for the college football slate. Oh man.
You don't have to if you don't want to. I threw it out there though for the vibes for the people. Um, I like Coastal to go into Charlottesville, pick off the Wahoos, Cavaliers. Yeah.
Cavaliers, not Wahoos. That was Wahoo, the Illinois thing.
I'll look it up here. I feel like I offended someone just now.
No, I think you're right actually.
But yeah, Virginia is a 12-point favorite in that game, and I don't agree with that at all. Um,
No.
any final thoughts, Matt? In addition to, hey, if you have a bonus upset, throw it out there. But any final thoughts here as we wind down on this Wednesday?
Football's back. We go back to making regular podcasts. We don't have to
Ooh.
and we don't have to like sit here and be like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And we'd be like, what are we gonna talk about? Also, I live in China. What are we doing?
We don't
No,
want
no,
to,
I
we
get to
just don't
watch
want to
the games.
fill up the space with
There was so much empty stuff this summer. It's like
empty episodes. So,
college, there's not a ton going on with college basketball as of recent. There's not a ton going on with IU
well,
baseball or like anything.
I also blame a lot of other people for this development. So we had the Woodson DeVries craziness, right? Like,
Yeah,
got through that. I also blame Indiana for making the playoff last year. That took a lot of heart and soul out of me.
yeah,
Whew,
yeah.
that was a lot, man. I was so locked in
Well, hopefully we make
last
it back
year.
this year. I mean, make it a regular thing where you just go to the playoff
No.
every year.
So now I'm budgeting that in. So like that's why we
Yeah,
dialed it
yeah.
back a little bit.
I'm prepared now.
Dialed it
Yeah.
back a little bit during the summer, only for us to lose on a game-winning field goal in week one. I don't know if I have anything else. Looking at this week one slate, is there anything else that catches my attention? I think, Tennessee should smack Syracuse. I think Bama should smack Florida State. I think Clemson gets LSU. I think Clemson knocks off LSU, in which case that would be another Brian Kelly week one loss. Um, I don't know about Notre Dame, Miami. That'll be a fun one. That'll be a fun one on Sunday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Well,
sure.
I don't like this Miami team, but that's besides the point. I also not sure I'm very confident in Notre Dame either.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that's when we sort of lean on the SIG stuff for Indiana. Like Marcus Freeman's a great coach.
A great coach, yes.
Great
And
coach. And
Mario
I think
Cristobal is
he the guy that did not kneel.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Yes. Yeah.
Marcus Freeman would
I
never.
knew exactly what you were going to say before you said it. Yeah,
Because
that is him. That
I watched that game happen too.
We were watching that game on
Not Spaces, but the other
we
place.
were
Yeah,
on playback.
yeah,
We
correct.
were on playback watching that game.
Yeah,
God, I missed that so much. That was
I
the
was just
most
like,
fun I've had watching football.
I was just
Was on
like,
playback with everybody.
I was just like, I was doing the math in my head. I was like, you can just kneel it. Like, what's the
Yeah,
point? Like,
yeah,
what are you
yeah,
doing?
yeah, yeah, yeah. They lined up to run a play, and I remember you saying they could just kneel the ball.
I mean, it's funny, like Herm Edwards, whenever that was, he was like, you play to win the game. It's like the most profound sentence anyone has ever said ever, which
Yep.
doesn't seem obvious. Like, when Iowa State, week zero, end of the game, up three, they go for it because you play to
Mm-hmm.
win the game. You
You
don't play to
play
you don't play
to
to tie.
win the
And it's
game.
not reckless, but the entire point there is it's better to be up three than it is to be up six. So if you miss the fourth down play, fine. Kansas State takes over. Kansas State is down three. Subconsciously, they're going to drive down the field, and objective is to get into field goal range. Which, by the way, if they make the field goal, you go into overtime. 50-50 shot. Meanwhile, if you're Iowa State, you convert the fourth down. Guess what? You get close to the goal line. Well, you get the first down, but if you score a touchdown, you're up two scores. Wow, that's magical. You love that every day of the week. You play to win the game.
Mm.
It's like
You play to win the game.
it's
And hopefully
really
IU will
profound,
play
man.
to win the
Mario
game
Cristobal.
this weekend.
Mario Cristobal. You don't play to win the game by 100. You play to win. All you got to do is kneel and you win.
Yep.
Signetti, all I do is win. He's been very clear about that. So, hey, hopefully the Hoosiers can get that done here in week one. But, folks, that about wraps it up for our 350th show of the Hoosier Sound. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your support. To hear more fantastic episodes like the one you heard today, be sure to follow us at Indiana HQ or at the Hoosier Sound to make sure you don't miss any in the future. You can also go to our website, indianahq.com, to find it all in one place. But, as always, thank you for listening, Hoosier Nation, and we will see you next time.
Peace and love. Go Hoosiers.